I often said that I'm going to write a book, about family relationships, and calling it, your friends are God's way of apologizing for your relatives. Because
that can be so true.
When we get into situations with our relatives, whether they're sisters or siblings or parents or whatever, and we have all of these expectations that you're supposed to support me and you're supposed to do this, and if I say that, you're supposed to be there, and so on. And the fact is that we just have to accept each other for. Just because we happen to share the same genetics doesn't mean that we share all of the same views.
Right.
I always say every family has an Aunt Bertha or something. That's just the name that I pick. And when she comes over for Halloween, I was going to say, but for Thanksgiving or whatever, that what you want to do, and when she starts in on the kinds of things that are just upsetting to you, is just see how much love that you can send to this person. Just make up your mind in advance. You're not going to allow this person to get to you. I've been practicing that. I practice it when my kids come all the time. They say things sometimes that I don't like, and they make noises that I don't want, or they put on TV shows that I don't want. And I just say to myself, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Just love them. Just love them. That's all. That's all we got to do. And just let it go.
See, the central thing around parenting for me came out of a line from Khalil Gibran in The Prophet when he said, your children are not your children. They are the products of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not for you. And I think always keeping that in mind, that these are not your possessions, and also that your children are not apprentice people. It's not like they're on their way to becoming something else. They are whole, they are complete, they are total right now. Right. Just like you are. We're all we're always in a constant state of movement and a constant state of flux. But one of the biggest things about that is that you find your truth in nature, and that there's a wonderful poetic line that says, the things we love, we have to learn to leave alone. How much can we practice non-interference? How much can we can't take a 2-year-old and allow them to go out and play in the driveway when there's cars outside, obviously. Right. But on the other hand, you don't want to become one of those hovering, what they call helicopter parents, who are constantly hovering over their children all the time and interfering and correcting them and so on. So being able to find that balance between when I interfere, it is for their safety and it is for what is absolutely best for them. But if it's for me, if it's because I need to, be this authoritarian person, or I need to have them be subservient to me and pay attention to me and listen to me, and I'm the boss and they're small and they don't have a right to, that's where you have to really just begin to practice this non-interference thing. I have found that when I say to my children, when they ask me what to do, or even when I'm telling them what to do, that the less I say, but most often what I say very often to my children, and did throughout all of the years of raising them, is that you know the right thing to do. You really know. Even as a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old fighting with each other, and a 4-year-old pushes a 2-year-old, you can remind them that they know what the right thing to do is, that being pushed around isn't something that you would like, and I'm just asking you to do what you know inside of your heart is the right thing to do. In other words, to take your role as the one who's constantly telling them what to do and telling them how to be and where they should go and what they should think and all of that, to let that go and to remind them that just because they share your genetic background doesn't mean that they share the same goals and aspirations and what they're going to do in their lives. Even though they have the same mother and the same father, those two kids are very, 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 very different and may have very different ways to go in their lives. I must say there have been times in my life, I'm sure, that I slipped and slap them on the butt and things like that, but almost always that was my inability to either remove myself from the scene. One of the most important things that I used to tell mothers over and over again, as when I wrote my book on raising children, was find a place, especially if you got more than one child who do a lot of fighting around you, and they do it for you. Find a place in your house, usually the bathroom. I used to call it go to the bathroom. And in there, put your reading material in there, put a little glass of wine in there, if that's whatever it is, little refrigerator, whatever, and close that door. And when they start the arguing, the minute that they start the arguing, you don't say a word to them. You just dismiss yourself from the room. They don't have the audience, which is what they're looking for. And almost always, their very, very, very favorite audience is mommy. And what you really want for your children is not for them to be disciplined and not for them to do what they're told and not for them to fit in and all of that. What you want for them is to be happy, to have a sense of purpose, to feel loved, to feel like they are, strong, important people. And by the way, children who are obsequiously always obeying their parents, always without ever questioning, generally grow up to have the highest levels of prejudice because they're taught to not think for themselves, but to think like how their parents think.
Right.
And if you want to have prejudiced children, then that's what'll happen.